So you're a fan of Atlanta United, and you can't believe we finished 2 points from the bottom?
Ugh, I can almost taste the wooden spoon. Yuck.
Well, anyone heard of Tata Martino?
Oh, the best coach in modern MLS history?
Yep, the one with a 66% win rate in MLS.
But the fans are skeptical. Did Dyla suck, or was it our talent?
Can Mickey still play? Where does Marinchuk fit? And was Latte a bust?
Stop it. I've done my homework, and I've got notes.
We're going to drink some wine and talk about it all.
I'm Mikey Dobbs.
I'm David Katz.
And I'm Carmen Butler.
And this is the ATL on Fire podcast show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of ATL on Fire, the podcast where we talk all things Atlanta United football and all things soccer. And we are kicking off another year here, and I'm Mike Dobbs, this is Carmen Butler and Dave Katz. We've been hosting this show about Atlanta United
Forever.
For 8 seasons now. So this is year 8, and appreciate everybody coming up to join us here at Wild Heaven Brewery in Toco Hills, Fox Brothers Barbecue. An amazing location. Appreciate the sponsorship of Wild Heaven. Dave, thanks for setting this up with Hayden.
Yeah, it couldn't be any better. Our 2 sponsors, Wild Heaven Beer, we're at the brewery, and off of Wolf Mountain Vineyard. So if you're here, you can get either of those things here today at the brewery.
Yeah, Wolf Mountain Vineyards up in the Dahlonega Plateau is actually a certified wine region now as of 2 years ago. Some award-winning wine if you want to make a short drive up into the mountains when things are obviously beautiful here in the spring. So
cheers.
Cheers to Season 8, ATL on Fire. Dave, Carmen, we're going to talk a little bit about Atlanta United in general and our thoughts about the team with the new coach, Tata Martino, who's now come back to us after being here in 2017 and 18. A lot of excitement around that from our perspective.
For sure.
We're going to talk about the loss we had against Cincinnati last week, and
do we have to talk about that?
We do, but a lot of feelings of this is the same old, which I think we have a perspective on. And then you're going to really dig into the entire MLS, how we are stacking up against some of the other teams, and how coaching within the MLS really impacts the level of play.
Yes, this is our MLS season preview podcast.
So Dave,
let's go.
Why don't we kick off by talking about the game last week in Cincinnati. We end up losing 2-0, but I don't believe there was a goal until the late 67th minute.
Yeah, we can talk
like
about the first 70 minutes and then the rest.
Yes, I think that's fair. In my perspective was the first 15 minutes, Atlanta United came out and looked pretty good, looked pretty sharp. We had a couple shots on goal. Obviously, like you, we were looking at some of the new players in the back line because last year our back line, particularly our center backs, was an area of great concern with Abram and Williams. Gregerson being injured most of the time. We were really weak in that area. So what did you think about...
Our back line sucked.
The back line. Also, we've got a new goalkeeper with Brad Guzan having retired.
Retiring, good luck. He's back at the club, so he's helping out, and he's there, and he's around.
Yeah. So what did you think about Hoyas in the back line? Why don't we start from the back and go forward?
Well, Hoya's reputation is that he is a really excellent goalkeeper, but he's prone to the gaff. And I think we saw all of that in the first game. He did beautifully. He came out and cut out a couple of crosses. There was one really dangerous situation along the end line where he cut it out. But he also came for a ball that was absolutely had no business coming for at the top of the 18. He didn't get there. They went around him. Unfortunately, our 2 center backs, Barakal and Haj, were there to clear it off the line and bail him out.
Yeah, and, we've talked about the height of a keeper being really important. I think Hoyos is only 6 foot, is that right?
He's listed at 6 foot, but he didn't look small to me when I saw him play. He doesn't play small.
Yeah.
There's 6 feet goalkeepers who play small, and there's taller goalkeepers, right?
Yep.
Do you think that we'll see Hibbert or Tata for now has made up his mind that he's the starter?
Well, we talked about this a little bit in the other podcast that, Tata, maybe if he has a weakness, it's evaluating goalkeepers. So who knows? This is his guy from Newell Old Boys. That's his old club in Argentina. So, but I kind of think that he's there to bring Hibbert along, and it wouldn't surprise me if somewhere during the season if you see Hibbert.
And Hibbert's going to be the starter for Canada in the World Cup, no?
No.
No,
I'm
he's
about
not.
to say, I don't
that's
think
St. Clair.
so.
Oh, that's
for
St. Clair.
Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, for Miami.
All right, I'm scrambled eggs on that one.
That's right. How old is Hibbert? Like, is he 20?
He's
like,
pretty young.
He's a baby.
You can look it up, but I think he's 23.
Yeah, he's a baby.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the center back. In that game, we had Miha and Barakal start number
That's right.
6 and number 5, right?
Right. So for those of you who aren't familiar with him or with those two players, Mihaj comes from Portugal. He showed up towards the end of the season, and Barakal actually comes from La Liga. So those guys actually were here at the end of last year under Dyla. It didn't really seem to make that much of a difference to our team at the end of the year, but coming in at that part of the season, right, and trying to bet in and try to change it is really difficult. Already the mentality of the team was kind of a disaster, and I think, it's hard to judge them from those particular proceedings. I actually thought in watching that Mihaj looks amazing, and Barakal I was so on.
Okay. So tell me about the pros and cons of what you're seeing them in terms of them being able to read the game. I certainly noticed in the first 15 minutes, compared to Derek Williams and or Abram, they were at least putting pressure up on the forwards and closing that space.
You think?
Yes. So that was a really refreshing shift, which is definitely not the same old of what we've seen the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, so last year, I shudder the fans to even think about it, but last year Williams and Abram would just retreat all the time. We even documented there was a game where Williams ran straight back into our own goal without ever challenging for a ball. So we're not seeing that anymore. That was totally shambolic. But so they were really aggressive, including actually the goal that we gave up. I don't know if you recall, but Barakal was really up the field, and then he left Mahaj by himself. Tomas Jacobi, we'll get to in a minute, was trying to sit in for him and was kind of a little bit late closing down the guy. And then ultimately, on the left side, it was Elias Baez, the new left back,
I went
who
back
got beat behind.
I think that was actually Barakal who was on the left there that got beat down the line.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I went back and looked.
It was very hard to see from the replay.
I watched the game this morning, and that was kind of surprising, right? And didn't do a good job of getting. He didn't have the wheels.
Whoever
to recover.
it was definitely ball watching.
Yeah.
And got caught in behind.
So, what did you think about our fullback situation?
So, we're still expecting today even to see Amador. It was really weird because he was not listed on the injury report for last game or this game, but he technically was supposed to be injured and he's supposed to be starting today. Nobody knows, but presumably he's going to be the starter. Who knows? Tata's pretty high on Baez. So Baez is the 21-year-old who comes from San Lorenzo in Argentina.
Okay.
And, Tata in his press conference talked about how they have different strengths. And he almost seemed to imply that Baez might be better defensively and Amador better attacking-wise. But we'll see.
Yeah, for game one, Baez just being inserted pretty quickly into a starting position, I thought he did pretty well.
Up until that moment, I thought he was great.
Right. But like I said, I'm not
if
sure.
If it wasn't him, then
it was Barakal, I believe.
Okay.
So,
then on the right side, we were talking about whether it was going to be Edwards or Hernandez, and it was Hernandez in the first game. I kind of think as the season goes on, I might expect Edwards to win that spot.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that Tata's got familiarity of Hernandez actually being on the squad when he was around, and probably was one of the people that he identified early on as a young kid. So not surprising he just kind of is giving him a chance out of the gates.
Yeah. So where I thought we were not as good was in the midfield.
Yeah.
So Alzate, who came later in last season, he started. It was a very weird Cooper Sanchez at 17 years old makes his debut. It wasn't technically his debut. I think he debuted under Dyla in the Leagues Cup last year, but it was his MLS debut.
So Marinchuk's on the bench, right? And so
yeah.
Do you think he was just that injured? Or?
Marincek apparently was had some knocks during the preseason, and he was coming along fitness-wise, and they wanted to start him a little cautiously. The expectation is that he's going to start tonight.
Okay. So, yeah, Sanchez did not make much of an impact in the game. I rewatched the game. Either offensively or defensively, he just wasn't involved.
Yeah.
He put in one tackle and got a card for it, I think.
And we would have loved to see Will Riley, but Will Riley has a hamstring injury, so he's out for a while.
Okay. Got it.
Alzate, I wasn't as down on as I think you are. I think he was okay.
He was not so good, in my opinion.
Well, I think he's got upside. I think he played okay in that game, but
I have to take the disagreement with that. To me, he just looks like he's one of these players. He doesn't do. He doesn't look bad on the ball. He makes okay decisions, but he's not good in the tackle. He's not great positionally. He doesn't break the lines. He kind of doesn't stand out for doing anything. You're like, what's he in it for?
Well, I guess my question then is, how much is that reflective of the other player like Sanchez around you that you're not able to, make that impact when you're
maybe,
trying to cover
but
too
you
much
would
ground.
think in this game he would be the guy, Sanchez would defer to him a little bit.
Well, let's go to the guy I think we agree that we like the upside, which is the player behind those two, which is Tomas Jakob, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, so what's really interesting, right, is Sleaze moves in the offseason. That was unexpected. And we thought, okay, we're bringing in a defensive midfielder. We did not, and there doesn't seem to be anyone coming. And the reason seems to be Tomas Jakob, who actually was technically a right back, right? So he's really interesting. He's Argentinian. He's really young. He's 21 years old. He actually had already moved to Mexico for Necaxa, which is very impressive for a young South American. And so he comes here. Tata was clearly a Tata pick. Tata's super high on him. And he put him right into defensive midfielder. Right when we signed him, Tata said he's smart enough to play in a lot of different places. And clearly he felt that way. He put him right into defensive midfield, and he seems totally happy with him there. I thought he was excellent. I thought he read the game. I thought he passed the ball. For a debut, having never really played that position permanently, that's not where he was playing for Necaxa last year, I thought it was incredible.
All right, well, let's move up the field.
Well, I want to say the other thing, so I think to me, if you look overall at our squad, Alzate or the other guys who are going to be there, Muyumba is sort of the backup, Jay Fortune when he comes back is the backup, that's the weakness. That's our hole in our lineup, but what I'll say is we signed this morning Matias Galorza.
From Gremio?
So he was signed from Boca.
Okay.
And he didn't really play at Boca very much. He's Argentinian. He's young. He's 24. No, he's Paraguayan. He's 24 years old. He was just got a big money move to Boca, and then he wasn't really getting a lot of playing time there.
That's still a heck of a club.
They technically loaned him to us, but the agreement says that if he plays in 50% of our matches, we have to then automatically trigger a $3 million transfer fee, and he's ours.
Wow. Okay. So we get to do a little test run.
He is supposedly a box-to-box midfielder, not really the super creative Almiron type, but also not a defensive midfielder, but the kind of guy we need.
So a lot of youth if we're going to have Jakob and this guy in the midfield.
It would be a very young midfield alongside Miranchuk.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move up. So,
can we get one more player while we're at that?
Sure.
So there's one more signing that people haven't heard of, which is Adrian Gill, right? Yeah. So he's a young American player. We just signed him. He's 20 years old. He was playing with the Barcelona B team and decided he wanted to come back to MLS because he thought maybe his route to the A team was a little bit blocked. He's tremendous potential. He's played on all the U.S. youth national teams. It's really an unknown. But he is in the squad, and he is a central midfielder.
So, yeah, we talked about that the other night. So, in terms of the depth, we've also signed another Miami veteran.
Fafa Picault.
Fafa Picault. He's, 34 years old?
So, Fafa Picault is actually, I wrote it down, just one second. He's 35 now.
Oh, okay.
He's a real MLS veteran over the last, he's been in MLS for years, and his track record is 5 to 10 goals per year and 3 to 5 assists per year every single year including Miami, where he was coming off the bench. He still got that production.
So a very solid veteran for some rotations where Saba or Miggy
Clearly,
need a rest.
Tata was working with him, so he brought him over clearly to be the veteran coming off the bench.
So what did you think of Miggy and Saba in that game?
Some really good and some not so good. I loved that they were much more open. They were getting on the ball. We got to see Al Marone running with the ball a little bit occasionally, which is big. That was the big difference, in my opinion, between Al Marone when he was here the first time and Al Marone under Dyla. He wasn't open to be running with the ball. On the other hand, I felt like the interchanging and the working together wasn't that great. It wasn't so dynamic, and they weren't really all on the same page, which is maybe understandable because they're just getting used to what Tata's doing.
Well, based on the math, most people can't beat Miles Robinson in a sprint, but it was a little shocking to see how fast Miles Robinson.
I know you were giving him a hard time because he tried to run and Miles Robinson ran him down. Miles Robinson is the fastest clocked MLS player currently playing.
But you just expect Miggy to have that burst.
Yes.
I don't think he
From
ever
back
had
in the
that.
day
And
when
he
he came through, but
I don't think he ever had that kind of burst.
Miles made that look.
Yeah,
He made it look easy.
too easy.
Yeah.
Now, Latte Loth up front had some opportunities in the game.
Yeah, one big one.
Had one almost dribble over the line. Had a couple half chances.
He was coming in on the goalkeeper once. It looked like he faked and tried to cut, and he slipped.
Yeah.
Which, is bad on him because he can't afford to do that. But on the other hand, you feel like, well, maybe give him a little bit of a pass because he fell.
So, Latte Loth is obviously a super talented player. You can just see his quality. But at some point, given the amount of money we're paying him, he's got to put it on his shoulders, Dave, and start to give me a goal. I need a goal.
If we're going to be good, he has to be a 30-goal scorer, probably.
And if our midfield isn't going to do it for him, I need a little bit of a major league moment with Jobu, and he's got to do it himself.
Just puts the team on his back and gets it done.
He's got to get some Kentucky Fried Chicken, whatever it takes, and get some goals. So
Sure.
yeah. All right. So that's player by player, just conversation around the Cincinnati game. What do you think about the team? A lot of people obviously saying it's the same thing we saw last year, and the year before, and the year before. What are your thoughts on Atlanta United this season?
Tactically, we looked so much better. We didn't have the center backs dropping off. We didn't have the outside backs just going unnecessarily. We had it marked up in the middle, and Alzate didn't do well in the tackle, and Cooper Sanchez looked like he was a little overrun for a while, but they were in the right position. We didn't have the vacated midfield. We had more movement up top. To me, all the things tactically pointed upwards.
I agree. The one thing I noticed is just the pressure from the back and less softness in terms of just putting some pressure on people's back that were the Denkes of the world out there who we are just historically giving way too much room to, way too much respect.
For sure. The one thing I would say I tactically did not like is we had super zonal marking. Actually, in the 70th minute, I wrote down we are, begging like we're leaving it up to chance, and then sure enough, corner kick goal.
Yeah, the set pieces, particularly the corner kicks, even right out of the gates, definitely is going to be a weakness unless we figure
I literally wrote in my notes in the 70th minute, we're playing with fire on the free kick, free kicks and set pieces, and we're going to give up a goal.
But even
we did.
In the first 2 minutes of the game, Cincinnati had a corner kick, and a guy went up pretty much uncontested.
Yeah, they had a couple of free headers. They actually put it in the goal a couple times. It was offside, but you're playing with fire when the guy's wide open and getting a header, right?
All right, so Dave, there's a lot of pundits out there have done their power rankings on where Atlanta is going to finish this season. We finished almost dead bottom last year. If you're not familiar with the MLS, if you finished dead bottom, they have an unofficial trophy called the Wooden Spoon. So we almost won the Wooden Spoon. So there's nowhere,
you don't want to win that.
There's nowhere to go but up this season.
Nowhere to go but up.
But a lot of the pundits are kind of putting us in the middle of the table, 10th.
Yeah, there's a lot of people had us at the 9, 10, 11, the MLS experts. Now, what's interesting is I saw analysis on Twitter, on X, about looking at those MLS prognosticators over the last few years. Their record is awful. I mean, it's absolutely awful. Yeah. Now, to be fair to them, it's because MLS as a salary cap league is a lot of parity, and it's probably really hard to predict. But I am going to try and predict the Eastern Conference from last to first, and then we'll see how I do compared to the prognosticators.
All right, so Carmen, are you taking notes here?
I'm taking notes.
Or we can just use...
Are we betting anything, or is this just Katz telling us what
he can disagree, and then we can get bets.
Okay, that sounds good.
I'll just have AI go back and look at the transcript and see how Dave ranked them. So
I'm sorry, so you're using AI to take my job is what it sounds like.
Oh, no, we're enhancing your job.
Enhancing, got it.
Your job is secure, Carmen. Don't worry about it.
I will forward you the notes, too, so you have the official record of it. You can even see. And actually, I wanted to point out, trying to keep myself honest, I went back in my notes, and I looked at my notes from last year, and they were really bullish, because I thought we had a really good team in Ronnie Dyla. But the one thing that I said, what I said is that, where is it?
What do your notes say, Dave?
The notes basically said that we got to be really careful in the back line. I was going to read it to you word for word, but I can't actually find where the actual quote is. But the back line was really the problematic, and if we didn't get that fixed, we were in deep trouble. And the back line was awful.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I wrote the big question mark is the back four, particularly to start the year. That's what I wrote.
Ding, 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 ding,
so,
ding.
How much of an upgrade do you think the back line is so far versus last year?
World's better.
World's better.
World's better.
Yeah.
Because, Mihaj and, to be honest, Williams and Abram were the two worst center backs we've ever had at this club. Honestly, I can make an argument. I don't even think they're MLS standard players.
Yeah, I think they're USL level.
They were really poor.
Yeah.
And Abram came from Liga MX, no?
Yeah. No, he came from South I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he came from Liga MX.
Wherever he came from, he was horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have it by tiers, but I also have it ranked from number. Don't worry, in case you want to call me exactly on the number.
Yes, do it.
Okay, but I'll read them by tiers. We'll go for or what the tiers are. The lowest tier, in my opinion, is Montreal last, New England 14, DC United 13, and Toronto 12. That's the lowest tier in MLS, is what I think.
Repeat it one more time.
Okay, one more time, just so we have. Trust me, I will email this to you. Montreal at 15, New England at 14, DC United at 13, and Toronto at 12.
Oh.
Okay.
Lawrence isn't going to be happy about New England being ranked so lowly, but...
Well...
All right, so
you want to start with just some brief things about the worst place team, Montreal?
Montreal.
Give it to us.
So Montreal returns Prince Owusu. He had 13 goals and 5 assists. They got Tomas Avalos from on loan from Miami. But other than that, it's basically the same team. And when we get to my coaching rankings, they have my lowest rated coach. So I think a poor roster and the lowest rated coach means disaster.
Montreal. Wooden spoon.
At the bottom.
Destiny.
That's my wooden spoon prediction. All right, New England. New England returns Carlos Gil, who is amazing.
Yeah,
but he's 33 years old now. He's pushing a little bit. He's joined by Leo Campano that we talked about on the podcast the other day. They get Matt Turner in goal. So Matt Turner comes back to the MLS, and he's going to start for them in goal. So that's a big upgrade. And they have another guy, Turgeman, who is 22 years old and had a decent scoring year in Israel last year. But other than that, the squad doesn't look strong to me, and their coach is coming from the U.S. national team, the youth national teams, and if you know the record of the youth national team coach, it's awful when they actually make a professional thing. So I also have their coach rated as really poor. He's never had a head coaching job.
All right, next up.
All right, next up is DC United. They lose Benteke. He goes to the United Emirates. He's gone. They put all of their eggs in the basket of Luis Montienu, who's
that?
Young 23-year-old, big, powerful Romanian striker. He scored 25 goals in Romania. They paid, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
10 million transfer fee for him.
Wow.
What?
I was shocked.
I don't even know who that is.
That seems way overspending.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Way overspending.
All right.
So they're putting their money on that. They also get Ty Baribo. So Philadelphia loses Ty Baribo, their leading scorer. He goes to DC United, so that helps. Sean Johnson moves from Toronto to DC United, so he's going to be in goal for them.
How old is Sean Johnson?
He's 36.
He's getting up there.
Really?
But
Oh my
36 isn't crazy old for a goalkeeper.
Right. No, 36 is still okay for a goalkeeper.
All right.
Toronto. They are led by Mihalovic, who's still there. He's only 27 years old. I couldn't believe that. He seems like he's been around forever, Mihalovic, right? U.S. national team player.
Yeah.
Last year he had 13 goals and 11 assists. They have a couple of Canadians, and Richie Lorea and Jonathan Osorio. They add Walker Zimmerman from Nashville. How do you feel about that? He's 32.
I think Walker Zimmerman is a very solid player. I think but he's not a difference maker at the end of the day, I don't think.
Yeah. We'll get to their coaching, but they get Robin Fraser moving over from Colorado as their coach. They're counting a lot on Walker Zimmerman to make their defensive line much, much better. I think he's still a really good player.
Yeah,
but
he's fine, but I just
see.
don't think he's going to be what you are going to have your team, be impactful on in terms of moving up the table.
I agree. All right, so that's the bottom tier. You want to go to the next tier?
Yeah, let's go.
Give it to us.
All right, the next tier, I have 11 through 7. Okay, here's my, probably controversial pick compared to the pundits. Yeah. I have New York City FC at 11. I have Columbus at 10.
Yep.
I have Orlando at 9, Chicago at 8, and Philadelphia Union at 7.
Yeah, and it feels like everybody's got the fire. They've got the Crew much higher in that list.
Yeah, so you want to talk Columbus? Well, the lowest, let's talk New York City FC first. So this is, thank God, the last year of Yankee Stadium. So the stadium is scheduled to open in 2027, but they still have that stadium, the bandbox.
Where is the new stadium being built?
It's right next to Citi Field in Flushing Meadow, Queens.
Okay.
At the U.S. Tennis Center. It's in that same...
So it's a soccer-specific field for
It is a
NYCFC.
soccer-specific stadium. It's beautiful.
Cool. Nice. That's great.
They get U.S. international Matt Freese in goal, 27 years old.
That's a difference maker.
Yeah, but so they signed last year Nicolas Fernandez Macau. He's Argentinian. He was attacking midfielder from Spain.
Why didn't we get Matt Freese?
It's a really good question. There was a couple of really good goalkeepers that were available.
Yeah.
And we didn't go after any of them.
Yeah, I think for the MLS, Matt Freese would be one of the top handful of keepers, top 3, no? Or do you have somebody ranked higher than him?
For goalkeepers?
For goalkeepers.
He's certainly up there.
Yeah.
I mean, I have St. Clair as the best. Well, I have Blake is still the best goalkeeper. He's starting to edge out.
Yeah.
Then I have St. Clair as number 2, and then it gets murky after that in the East. So they are getting back a young player, Thales Mango, is 23-year-old Brazilian. He had 7 goals and 10 assists in 2022 for them. Then he went abroad to Corinthians, really failed, and he's coming back. They're counting on him a lot because Maxi Morales is still their captain and star. He's 38 years old.
Yeah.
So they have a couple of Americans, an Australian American, a lot of the youth players coming through. To me, you're looking at that team and you're like, where are the goals coming from?
Yeah. And we haven't got to the coaching situation, but
We'll get to that.
The coaching's obviously changed, which is going to be a big deal.
Coaching actually for them is a plus, but we'll get to it.
Okay.
All right, Columbus. Right, so Columbus returns Diego Rossi, who had 16 goals and 4 assists. They had Gazdag join from Philadelphia Union. But he only had 6 goals and 6 assists for them last year after scoring 17 the year before for the Union. So maybe he took time to bed in there, but he wasn't that great. Up front, although, I think that they're okay. They added a new guy, Wessam Abu Ali, who is from Denmark. He joins after a really good scoring record in Egypt. I don't know.
Yeah.
But here's the big thing. First of all, what happened to the Columbus midfield? Okay, Nagbe retired.
That's a major dagger.
Yeah.
Let's have a moment for that.
I was about to say, pour some out.
One of the best players, maybe arguably the best player in MLS so far. Aiden Morris, not this past year, but the middle of the previous year, he moved. He starts for Middlesbrough, and he's done really, really well there. That was a huge loss for them. And they lost Jason Russell Rose, a Canadian international. He moved to the French First Division.
Okay.
So all 3 of those guys in that best midfield, gone.
Yeah.
Right? And they didn't, as far as I can tell, really replace them with hardly anybody. They have a guy, Chambos, who's 27 years old. He's from France. He played for some okay sides, but he doesn't have a great record. He seems like a mediocre European player. And then the other guy they're going to start is Zawadzki, an American, 25 years old, never even heard of him.
Okay.
So I have big question marks from them in the midfield. And, of course, they lose the coach.
Yeah.
Wilfred Nancy, who didn't get a good run at Celtic, but Wilfred Nancy moved to Celtic and then coached, 9 games and got sacked.
Hardly.
It was
So
the
he's out of work.
shoes. It was the shoes.
It was the shoes. And then the other thing they have is they have Schulte, the young American goalkeeper, coming back. He's excellent. And they retain their Camacho, their center back, who's 34 years old.
Yeah, Camacho is still
he's a good
solid.
player.
Yeah.
But to me, so last year they gave up 51. They only scored 55 under a much better coach. They only finished 7th. The coaching situation is not good. We'll get to that in a minute. And I just think, where is the upgrade?
Yeah. All right. Not looking good.
Not
I
looking
like
good
it.
for
I'm bought
Columbus. All right, Orlando. Orlando is an interesting situation. So they returned their 2 designated players who were terrific. Marko Pilasic, who's 25 years old from Croatia. He had 12 goals and 5 assists. Martin Ojeda, who might have been one of the best midfielders in the whole conference. He's 27 years old. He has 16 goals and 5 assists from midfield for Orlando. So that's an excellent, excellent return. But outside of that, they're playing a young American, a young Trinidad guy nobody's ever heard of. And in the back line, they've signed 3 new under-22 players. They're all Brazilian. There's one that really intrigues me. Let me see what his name is. His name is Iago Teodora. He started...
Iago.
Yeah, he started at 21 years old for Flamengo in Brazil. That's an excellent club. And he captained Brazil's under-22 national team side. He's going to slot straight in as a center back. You don't really hear as the Brazilians playing center back. But I think, to me, a huge amount of hope for their team relies right on him.
All right.
They also added Maxime Crepeau, the Canadian backup international goalkeeper, who's solid but not as good as the best goalkeeper, St. Clair. And they lost Alex Freeman, the young U.S. international, who got transferred to Villarreal from Orlando. He's only 22 years old. He went for $7 million to Villarreal in La Liga.
I mean, Orlando sounds kind of good to me. I think I put them in top 4 from even just what you're saying, but you're saying middle of the pack. With
Well, I don't, I have Orlando at 9.
Okay.
9.
All right.
9. Okay. And then Oscar Pareja has made the playoffs at Orlando all 7 years he's been there.
Yeah.
So,
Very
and
solid
before
coach.
that, he had some really good years at Dallas. He's a veteran MLS coach. Really good. Okay, Chicago.
Yep.
I also have in this tier. Last year, they were 8th place. I should say Orlando was 9th last year, so I'm predicting about the same.
Okay.
Columbus was 7th last year. I'm predicting a little bit of a drop. Chicago was 8th last year.
And so you're predicting the same.
Yeah, I believe I have them 8th. Is that true? Yeah, 8.
Okay.
I have them as 8. Okay, Chicago. So they returned their leading scorer, Hugo Coopers. I always butcher his last name, so apologies. He had 19 goals and 2 assists. Jonathan Bamba, the winger, 29 years old from the Ivory Coast. He had 6 goals and 4 assists. And the top assist leader in all of MLS, Philip Zinkernagel, who for some reason
Nice
is
pronunciation.
That's
not in the MLS fantasy. What the hell, MLS?
Wait, what?
You can't pick him in the MLS fantasy. I tried.
Oh,
I'm like, what the
Yeah.
hell? How can we not get
He's
Zinkernagel?
not in the database.
it's a great name though.
So we're going to have our good friend on, and we're going to have to complain about that.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, we had the reporter from The Athletic who's running the MLS fantasy last week. So we have a guy to complain to. They have also our good friend Andrew Gutman playing left back, and he's been terrific for them. He's really been. He had 3 goals and 7 assists from outside back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he's still only 29 years old, so that's good. They also add Robin Ladd, who is the all-time leading goal scorer for Minnesota. So that's a good addition for them. So the attack should be really strong. Here's my downside. Berhalter,
Okay.
the coach. Right?
Okay.
So we will go back to him when we go over the coaching, but I will tell you exactly. I looked up exactly how he finished in MLS all the years before the U.S. national team. So that's my critique. And last but not least, in this tier, Philadelphia Union, they were first place Supporters Shield winners. Right? I have them as 7th this year. Okay, they lost the MLS best defenders, Kai Wagner, who goes to Birmingham City, and Jacob Glessner, who goes to the LA Galaxy.
Birmingham City in England?
Birmingham City in England. They lose Ty Baribo, their leading scorer, who went to DC United. They lose Michael Ure, their 3rd leading scorer in the history of the club, right?
Jeez.
And they add nobody.
So relying on that academy
Yeah.
a little too hard.
Yeah, they added a 20-year-old kid from the Ghana. They added a 23-year-old from Uruguay, and an American winger. They still have Andre Blake.
Ooh, yay!
right.
You know I love goalkeepers.
So what was that, 7-11? We just made
Yes.
it through? All right.
So last year is interesting. Last year they had the best defensive record in all of MLS, and they're going to rely clearly
Philadelphia
on that.
did?
Yes.
Really?
The best
Because I always think of
them.
them as a little more of an
I
attacking
think they
style
only
team.
gave up like 35 goals.
Wow.
It was really one of the best performances ever. Okay, should we go to the top?
Let's do it. Top 6.
So I actually have the
6.
top 6 in 2 different tiers. I have 4 and then the top 2.
Okay.
So this is actually tier 2. So at number 6, I have Charlotte. At number 5, I have Red Bulls, moving way, way up. I have at number 4, Atlanta. I have at number 3, Nashville. We're getting a reaction from the crowd about Atlanta at 4, but we'll take that. We'll get an argument about
I
that.
was to say higher or lower. Which one do y'all think? There should be
I'm
high,
sure he's saying lower.
Lower? Oh, come on.
Lower,
Come on.
lower is in like 2, number 1, or higher up the table? All right. So,
All right.
you're going to keep
Charlotte.
going with
Yeah, Charlotte. Pep Biel, Spanish, 29 years old, returns as the attacking midfielder, having scored 12 goals. They
Zaha.
also return Zaha, who's 33 now, who torched us, but overall only, he managed 10 goals and 5 assists. He had a good year, but maybe not exactly the year they were
Yeah,
counting on.
I thought he was going to do slightly better last year overall with his numbers in MLS.
Well, you figure in MLS he would come in torch the league, but maybe
Yeah.
it says something about the league being a little better than you think. Because he's a class player.
He's a machine.
They added a guy named Idin Tuklamadi, who 12 goals last year. He added in the middle of the year last year at 20 years old. But the question is, can he replace the American Patrick, and I can never pronounce his name anymore, Agyemang, whatever his name is, the U.S. national team player? Excuse me if I'm butchering it.
But he's still got an outside chance
Who
looking
is
in.
now starting at Derby and is one of the leading goal scorers in the
I
championship.
mean, I still think he might be on the squad for the
I think there's a very good possibility he's in the U.S. club.
Yeah.
Also in midfield, they add Luca de la Torre, who transfers from Celta Vigo in Spain.
Really?
He's 27 years old, and he goes to Charlotte.
No kidding. He's in Charlotte now.
And he, in my opinion, is the perfect complement for Ashley Westwood. So Ashley Westwood is now 35. People for the Premier League will know him as a superstar for Aston Villa and Burnley for years.
Yep.
He's great. He's getting a little old, but I think sitting next to Luca de la Torre, who's a young, creative guy, that could be terrific.
For sure.
Now, here's my knock on Charlotte. They have a terrific defensive record last year, but their defense is getting very, very old. Tim Ream is now 38, is still hanging on and doing well.
I'll take him over most MLS defenders.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
the young man of the group is MLS.
He's the Suarez of defenders in the MLS.
Yes, sure. The Suarez is terrible too now. The young guy of the whole group is MLS journeyman Kessler from St. Louis. He's 27 years old. Nathan Byrne, longtime England player in the championship, is the right back. He's 33. And the other young Harry Toffolo, also longtime from England, is 30. So their back line is 30, 33, 38, and 27. All right. So you got to figure eventually in a young running league like MLS, that's going to haunt you a little bit.
So that was Charlotte at 6.
Yes.
All right.
Red Bulls.
Coached by Michael Bradley now.
Yeah. So I should say Charlotte was 4th last year. I have them finishing 6th. Is that right? I have 6. Let me just double check that.
Right.
Yeah, 6. Yeah. Red Bulls I have picked as 5th. And last year they were 10th. That was the biggest move I have. Okay. So U.S. international goalkeeper Ethan Horvath returns from Cardiff. He's 30 years old. He's going to be their starting keeper. Offensively, they return their 2 dynamic designated players, Emil Forsberg, who's 34 now, but still looks to me terrific, and Eric Choupo-Moting, who's 36. Remember, he came from Bayern Munich by way of Paris Saint-Germain. He's played for some amazing teams.
Oh, wow.
And between the 2 of them last year, they had 28 goals and 16 assists. So, really excellent. The other player who they bring back is Cade Cowell.
Okay.
Do you remember Cade Cowell? So he was 17, 16 at San Jose. He was an MLS All-Star. He went to Chivas in Mexico. He's still only 22, but he didn't do well there. And he comes back to the MLS to be their starting midfielder.
Okay.
So Cade Cowell. So I think they're really, really good in attack. The real question mark for them is in the back. Their midfield is okay. Bergen, 28 years old from Sweden. Dunker from Ghana, 21-year-old. But in the back, they are incredibly young. Voloder, who's from Germany, is 24. Justin Shea, 22, is American. Marshall Rudy, 21, is Canadian. And Valencia, 21 years from Panama. So they are starting all 20-year-olds, young 20-year-olds along the back line.
And
so
game 1, they get the win, though, right?
the game 1, they get the win, and the question mark is, can Michael Bradley get 21-year-olds to be a much better defense?
I'm really curious to hear your perspective on Michael Bradley's coaching ability. So
we will get to that in the coaching thing, but yes, I have a very good perspective, having coached Michael Bradley myself a couple of times and knowing him fairly well.
I knew there was going to be a story there.
You knew there was going to be a story, but my bigger question is, do we have to boo through the entire game if they come to Atlanta and he's coaching? I mean, we got to figure that out.
He's retired. No need to boo him.
We're going to let it go? Let it go.
He's on to coaching now.
Okay, fine.
Okay, then we don't have to go through because we already have. I have Atlanta at 4. We can talk about the relative placement of that. We've already on the podcast gone on record. I think Carmen was at 3. I'm at 4, and Mikey Dobbs is at 5.
Yeah.
Okay. I have us at 4. I have Nashville above us at 3. So Nashville last year was 6th. So I don't even know if you remember, they got the U.S. national team assistant coach, became their head coach. We'll talk about him in a minute. But he totally revitalized them. They went all the way to 6th from wherever they were, like 10th or 11th. He totally revitalized Hani Mukhtar. who's only 30, and he rebounded with 16 goals. Sam Surridge was the leading scorer.
I feel like Hani Mukhtar's lost it a little bit.
But he looked much better under the new coach last year.
All right. So maybe just a support thing.
Yes.
Okay.
So Sam Surridge, who came from Nottingham Forest, he had 25 goals and 3 assists last year for Nashville, the leading scorer in the whole league. They lost 2 of their young players, Jonathan Perez and Jacob Schaffelberger. He left.
Schaffelberger. He's gone. He was a little kind of that annoying player that you want on your team.
Super fast.
Yeah.
And a little bit annoying, yeah. And then the big addition is they get Christian Espinoza, so from San Jose. So he, over the last few years, has had 36 goals and 83 assists for San Jose. He's been the leading assister almost every year for San Jose. Sitting behind Hani Mukhtar, sitting behind Sam Sturridge, to me, is a much better combination, and that's why I have them 3.
Number 3.
Okay.
Nashville.
Okay.
All right.
So then the top 2, we only have 2 to go.
Okay.
I have number 2, Cincinnati, and I have, of course, number 1, Miami.
This year you've wised up.
Shock. Well, this year, we'll go through it in a second, but Miami has totally loaded up their squad. So first we'll go to Cincinnati. So Evander comes back. I said last year in the preview that I thought he was going to be the best midfielder in the East. I think he was the best midfielder in the East. He had 18 goals and 15 assists. At 27 years old, he did tweak his hamstring against us.
Pull, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how bad that is. And then they have Kevin Denke coming back at 16 goals and 1 assist. He's only 25 years old. They add Brian Ramirez from Ecuador, who had a bunch of goals. No, not that many goals, just a few goals in Ecuador. They lost their Argentinian left back, Barrial. That was earlier in the year. And then I think, to me, they're going to rely heavily on their back line again. Miles Robinson, Matt Miazga, and their goalkeeper, Celentano.
How old is Matt Miazga now?
You know, it's one player I didn't write down, actually. He's got to be 30-something.
Yeah, I would think so. Carmen's going to keep his crack here in a sec.
And then Pavel Bucha is a box-to-box midfielder. I think he's pretty good in the middle.
Okay.
So I think Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's coach has the best record outside of Tata Martino.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also some perspective for Atlanta fans in our loss against Cincinnati. Really solid team. And,
Yeah, so opening up on the road against Cincinnati is a tough ask.
Yeah.
Our team brought everybody back, and that's a tough ask.
Yes.
Okay.
And Miazga is 30 years old.
30. He's only 30. Okay, I would have said 31 or 32.
Yeah.
all right, Miami. Number 1 spot.
So obviously Messi, but here's what happens, okay? Somehow, and we talked about this a little on the podcast, right? They somehow managed to get Allende, who came from La Liga and who is a terrific player, to take a non-designated player, thing with a small contract.
Play next to Messi.
How is that? So Allende comes back. They add Berterame. So Berterame scored 50 goals in 100 matches for Monterrey in Mexico. Was one of the leading goal scorers in the entire Mexican league, right, up front. Then they are joined by 20-year-old Silvetti from Argentina, from New Old Boys. Ayala comes from Portland, who was terrific in the MLS. He's 23 and Argentinian. And he joins Bright and DePaul in the midfield. So I don't know if you know DePaul, but he's an Argentinian national. He's going to start in the center of the midfield for the Argentinian national team, and he comes directly from the midfield of Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, incredible that they got DePaul at his age, where
he's only 31.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not young, but he's not.
He,
for a defensive midfielder, I think it's no problem.
He could be playing anywhere in Europe, and he's at Inter Miami.
I think so. They also added Mikel, who used to play for Houston Dynamo and comes back from a loan at Palmeiras. Is a very good MLS defender. They add Reguilon, who, people who watch European soccer will know that he played for Tottenham, Man U, and Real Madrid. And he's the new left back. And finally, the super upgrade. They lose our favorite goalkeeper.
Not Rios, no.
He was on the roster.
Yeah,
last
he's the
game
backup.
one,
He's
right?
the backup.
Yeah.
But they get St. Clair from Canada, who is the best goalkeeper in all
Are you
of MLS.
serious? That's not even fair.
That is, to me, the biggest upgrade that they needed, and that's what they got.
All right. So, Dave, that's an amazing breakdown. Our podcast kind of touts the fact we know a little bit about MLS, but it sounds like at least one of the people on this podcast knows a lot about the MLS. So I appreciate that detailed breakdown of every team in the East. I think it really is going to be interesting to look back at this at the end of the season and see where things stack up. But, Dave, you are a soccer nerd, which means you have coaching in your core in terms of one of the biggest difference makers that any team can have is having a great coach, make sure that the talent is, really able to maximize their potential. I think, I come from a line of thinking, as you know, where it's like, if you don't have the talent, it's a moot point, or it's moo, like
That's true.
a cow's opinion. But it is a little bit of a balancing act there, and sometimes a team with great talent can just be free and do their own thing and do really well.
Dial up.
Yeah. But you've now broken down the entire East with your thoughts on who are the best coaches out of these 15 teams.
That's right.
And now we can kind of juxtapose that against your rankings.
Ooh, big
So
word.
for those of you who listen to the podcast regularly, Mikey Dobbs and I have a running argument about whether it's coaching versus players. And so he said, look, tell me who you think the best coaches are. Let's think about the league, not from a best team, but a best coaches, and see whether it's better. So should we go through our coaching rankings?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Coaching rankings. Hold on.
At number 15.
15. Oh, Montreal.
We knew that
There's
already.
a reason why he's last. So Marco Donadel, he was a player for Montreal. He's 42 years old. That's it. He was fired after 1 year at his first and only job coaching in Serie C for Italy.
Yeah.
After having a terrible season and getting them relegated from Serie C. That's not good. And he took over mid-season last year. Well, I just want to point out, you want to talk about coaching, right? So at Montreal, Wilfred Nancy had 2 years, right? So in his first year, he comes off them being last place, and he finishes in the first year 10th, which is, middle, whatever. And his second year, Wilfred Nancy finishes second.
Yeah.
Okay? So then they hand the job to Courtois, not that Courtois, but Laurent Courtois, and he finishes in 3 years 10th, 8th, and 13th. So you tell me coaching doesn't make a difference.
All right, so 14. What do you got? A little feedback.
Okay, so I think that's a bad coach with a bad team, and that spells disaster. Okay, so at number 14, I have New England.
New England. Lawrence's team, New England Patriots fan in front of us here. But not ranked well by Dave's power rankings here at 14. So why is that?
I think Carmen has to turn it down. Carmen, you gotta turn it down.
Turn it
Yeah,
down.
that's fine. You're good.
Turn her down.
Okay, so the head coach for New England is Marko Mitrovic.
Mitrovic.
So he has coached the last 3 years with the U.S. U19s, U23s, and U20s. They had decent records, which is pretty bad because they have access to a lot of quality young players. But that's it. That's his only coaching experience. And the track record, as I pointed out, for former U.S. youth coaches going into head coaching jobs is awful. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So I don't think it bodes that well. I also want to point out that was interesting at New England. So Bruce Arena was the head coach there, right? He had the Supporters Shield, and then he had them when he left, they were in second place late in the season. Caleb Porter took over. They dropped to 5th and didn't do well in the playoffs. And then in Caleb Porter's 2 years, we thought Caleb Porter was going to be strong, but in his 2 years, he only finished 14th and 11th.
Okay.
Bruce Arena, meanwhile, goes to San Jose, and they go from really the bottom to 10th, They moved way up, but not that far up. We'll see what they do this year. Okay, now my bottom tier, the other coach I have just because of inexperience is Michael Bradley. So he's a first-year coach. He's never coached anybody except for the twos there at Red Bulls. For 1 year, he coached the twos.
And so you have him ranked where?
At number 13.
Number 13.
Yeah. So normally this would spell disaster, right? But here's the thing, I know Michael Bradley. I think he's a lot like his dad, Bob Bradley. Yeah. He's very hard-nosed. He's very smart. He's very thoughtful. He's very organized. And I actually think he's going to be a lot better than 14. I ranked him there just because he has no coaching experience, and it's hard to put someone high after that.
Okay.
But if he gets the defense right there, their attack is excellent.
I heard a little locker room speech after their win, and he seemed like he's got that nice, even keel, like where he's not going to be too high and too low. So I think just interesting to hear a coach speak after a game, and I felt like, yeah, he's got upside. Not surprisingly with the pedigree of his dad.
Yeah. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if he was, way better, got them defensively organized, and they turned out to be a lot better than we thought. Okay, tier 3. Ready?
Yep.
So tier 3 I have is 12th through 9th. There's 4 coaches in tier 3. So the last ones were all in tier 4. So at number 12, I have Henrik Rydstrom. He's the coach of Columbus. They replaced Wilfred Nancy. He has an okay record over 3 years at Malmo in Sweden. Before that, he had a weak record with 3 different sides in Sweden. They were weak sides, so you give him a little bit of a break. But there is nothing to suggest that guy is a good coach.
Okay. Certainly a downgrade from Wilfred Nancy.
Certainly a downgrade from Wilfred Nancy for sure. Number 11, Renee Weiler for DC United. So he has an extensive coaching record. It's good, but not great. It's in Switzerland, Germany, and Belgium.
Was he coaching at the end of the year last year, or is he?
No, this is his debut.
Okay.
So we don't know anything about him, really. So he's a bit of an unknown, but he has a long track record, and it's not that great. Okay, number 10, Robin Fraser. So Robin Fraser moves to Toronto from Colorado. He took over Colorado in 2019. They had previously finished 11th. In his 4 years there, they finished 9th, 5th, 1st, and then 10th. So he seemed to be building and doing well before it didn't so good. He takes over from John Herdman, who was the previous Canada coach, who had done some really good things with Canada and then bombed with Toronto.
Okay.
All right.
So I have him as good, but maybe not great. He didn't consistently do well. Now, I would have given him a little bit of a break because Colorado is a tough place to do well. They don't pay a lot for their players. Right, they have a undersold squad.
Colorado seems like it has to be a difficult city for soccer in general. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel like it has a soccer vibe.
That's fair.
As a ski.
I've seen a game there. The crowd is pretty tame.
Go there to go skiing, and then you leave. Maybe you catch a Broncos game. I don't know.
But not soccer is what you're saying?
Soccer.
Not soccer. Okay.
And I would have thought, his record of 9-5-1 was really good, but then he finished 10th. So what happened?
And why is it called the Rapids, by the way? Right? It's Colorado Rapids?
The river.
The
Colorado River has rapids in it.
I don't know. Like, no one's on the river? I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
What do you got against Colorado, Mikey Dobbs?
I love Colorado.
Okay.
I don't associate it with soccer.
All right.
Okay, and at tier 3, for the crowd out there, this might be the one that they're expecting to hear, Greg Berhalter.
Okay.
I have him at number 9. That might be what people have as low, but here's my argument. So his record at Columbus was pretty good. They finished 3rd, 2nd, 9th, 5th, and 5th prior to him taking over the thing. So good, but not great. MLS is not that hard to do really well. And here's the knock. So he finished that and people said, well, it's Columbus and they don't pay well and they don't have a good squad. Yeah, but the next 2 coaches, Caleb Porter and Wilfred Nancy, both won titles right afterwards. So it's hard to argue that he didn't have the players.
Okay.
And obviously his U.S. national team record speaks for itself. It was pretty good in the first World Cup, I think, but then there's been some saga.
But yeah, I mean, similar to his, his U.S. men's national team reign, it's solid, but not enough to get us to the next level or to get a team into.
I think he is a good coach. I think he is a good player manager. Maybe even a better national team coach than he is a club coach, but not a great coach.
All right, onward.
Okay, that's the end of Tier 3. We move to Tier 2. At number 8, we have Pascal Jensen from New York City FC. So in his first season there, they finished 5th in his first year. He had a previous coaching record, basically all with AZ in Holland.
Okay.
He did really, really well there. And then he comes to New York City FC and finishes 5th in his first year.
How did NYCFC do their first game? You know?
That's a good question. I looked it off the text and I can't exactly remember.
We'll come back to it.
All right. At number 7, I have Oscar Pareja from Orlando. So his record at Orlando, he's never missed the playoffs in 5 years. He's finished 5th, 6th, 2nd, 4th, and 9th. All with a squad that doesn't pay very much.
Right.
And then previously he coached Dallas. He finished 4th, 1st, 7th, and 4th.
Wow.
At Dallas.
And you have him ranked where?
I have him at 7.
Do you feel like that's harsh, given his pedigree?
It's hard to judge him because he's constantly at these clubs that don't pay a lot. So,
but you're judging coaching. You're not judging the squad.
I think he's done really well considering what he has, but maybe he's not. He's, I think, a very good coach, but not a great coach.
Okay. Right on the edge.
Right on the edge. Number 6, I have Javier Mascherano. He's really, really hard to judge. So in his first season, that was his first head coaching job at Inter Miami. So he wins the MLS Cup. Great, you would say amazing. But here's the knock, right? He only finished 3rd in the league after Tata won the Supporters' Shield. And if you look at it, he had, Tata Martino had 9 more points than he did, despite having Messi play only 19 matches compared to Mascherano at 28.
Okay.
So Mascherano gets Messi for basically 10 more matches and finishes 9 points behind.
Yep.
So, on the one hand, you say he won the title.
Yep.
Can't do any better than that. I feel like Messi carried them in the playoffs. But I think overall he didn't do that well.
Do they even need a coach? I mean, let's be honest.
No.
That's the point. Okay, continue.
That's where my theory. Once you have a team with so much talent, like Miami has, just let them play.
I think that Miami might be the most talented team ever assembled in MLS, this year's team. They are just loaded. Now, that being said, they got spanked by LAFC in the first match, 3-0, in front of 75,000 in the Coliseum in LA.
I don't know. LAFC might be.
We can get to LAFC.
We'll get there, but they look ridiculously good.
They have 2 phenomenal players. Okay, number 5, I have BJ Callahan, right? So he was the U.S. national team assistant.
Right.
When Berhalter got sacked, he took over and was tremendous for a very short period of time. And then he took over at Nashville. His first year at Nashville, they went from 13th all the way to 6th, and he did really well. So small record, but so far so good. I think he's looking like a really good coach.
All right.
Number 4, the last one in Tier 2, I have Dean Smith. So it's Charlotte.
Dean Smith. Okay.
Yeah, which is funny for those of you who are basketball fans.
You saw me make a face. I was like, ugh, Dean Smith.
There's another Dean Smith in North Carolina. Not the Dean Smith, the other Dean Smith.
Other Dean Smith.
So
okay.
where is he? What's his background?
So he had previous coaching jobs with mediocre to good records at Brentford, Aston Villa, Norwich, and Leicester.
Okay.
So Premier League. And then in his first 2 seasons in MLS, he finished 5th and 4th.
All right. So yeah, he's got some experience.
So I think he's done well.
Yeah.
And that's why I have him at 4th.
Makes sense.
Okay, so then the top tier is 3, 2, and 1. The most controversial, I would say, is Bradley Carnell. I have him at 3.
Never even heard of him.
He is the coach of Philadelphia Union.
Okay.
But what people probably don't realize, his very first coaching job ever was with St. Louis FC. In his first season ever, he finished first place there with a terrible St. Louis FC team. Amazing.
Yeah, I remember you saying that St. Louis team was going to be terrible that year.
Right.
And they weren't.
It proved you wrong.
It was like their
So
first
you're
or second
saying
year, right?
Because of coaching.
The coaching was
proved
amazing.
you wrong. All right.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. In the second year at St. Louis, he had them in 12th place, middle of the season, and got sacked. Okay, so it was not so good. And they had tons of injuries. So there's two possible interpretations. One is that he's really unlucky. He had a lot of injuries and they sacked him for no reason, even though he was first place. Or the other thing that's quietly come out of the camp is that he super overtrains his players, got them to play really hard in year one, and caused all the injuries in
So
year
you were
two.
saying he's like the Bielsa.
He's
of the
like
MLS.
a Bielsa formula.
Okay.
Now, so he gets sacked there. He goes to Philadelphia Union, which I also said had a terrible squad, and I picked low. What does he do in the first year? He wins the Supporters' Shield. They were amazing last year. And that team was all team. It was all defense. They didn't score that much, but they gave up the fewest goals, I think, in MLS in a long time.
Yeah.
And so he was terrific. So the question is, in year two, is he an amazing coach and he'll be at the top again? And that's what a lot of people have Philadelphia Union ranked in the top 3 or 4.
Right.
I do not. I have them much lower because they sell every one of their best players. And I think, A, he has no team left to work with, and B, his reputation is that he overworks them, and I think it's going to go downhill.
Okay. So they might come out hot out of the gates, you think?
Yeah.
Philadelphia, and then,
Well, they lost their first match
oh, well, there you go.
to
Maybe not.
DC United. Ugh.
Thank you.
They did have a red card late in that match. Okay, so I have him ranked third because in 2 out of the 3 seasons he finished first in the league, right? I mean, you can't really do better than that.
No doubt.
Okay, in second place I have Pat Noonan at Cincinnati. So for those of you who are FC Cincinnati fans, the 2 years before he takes over, their wooden spoon last place.
And where did you have Cincinnati ranked in your power rankings? Like 2
2.
or 3? 2. So coach ranked 2, team ranked 2.
Team ranked 2.
Okay.
And part of the reason why I have them at 2 is because of the coach. So after having taken over a Cincinnati team that was woeful, in his 4 years, he finished 5th in his first year, miracle. Then he finishes 1st, 3rd, and 2nd. Last year, he just missed out winning the Supporters' Shield at the end of the season.
What makes Pat Noonan a good coach in your opinion?
You know, it's really hard to see because you're not seeing him work behind the scenes every day. The players like to play for him. I think he keeps the tactics simple. When you watch Cincinnati play, they're really well marked up all over the field. They go forward as a team. You know, what's interesting is I like the fact that defensively it's simple. Offensively, he gives people the green light. They have the freedom. I don't know if you remember in our game, but Miles Robinson was showing up in the box. He almost scored on us. He was the one who got the ball cleared off the line. Right, that was Miles Robinson.
Yeah.
So when's the last time you saw, like under Dyla, our center back making a run and showing up and almost scoring a goal?
So Carmen, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there's a coach that hasn't been mentioned.
We have one more
Because
left.
there's only one more slot.
One coach left.
Who might it
And,
be?
and I don't think it's really biased. Dave would rank it where it is.
So the number 1 coach in the league is Tata Martino. He has the highest winning percentage in modern MLS history by far. It's higher than
66%.
Cincinnati. Pat Noonan, it's higher than Bruce Arena. It's higher than anybody. It's higher than Cherundolo. It's higher than anybody.
Yeah.
So he's only coached 3 years in the MLS. Obviously, the 2 years we know about, won the title in year 2. And then in his 1 season in Miami, won the Supporters' Shield, is the best record in all of MLS.
Right.
Got beat by us in the playoffs, but his record is the best ever.
But what, in your opinion, though, what is it that Tata Martino does that other MLS coaches don't do? Like, what sets him apart?
His offensive coaching is outstanding. You know, if you remember our team, we had so much movement. Miguel Almiron was open. He was running. Tito Villalba was running off of him, right? Joseph Martinez was running off of him. It was so dynamic. When's the last time you thought about an Atlanta United counterattack? And you see that all the time under a Tata Martino. So I think offensively, he's an outstanding coach. He gives them freedom, he gets them, but without giving up the organization behind. There's some coaches who are like offense, go all over the place. And then, like we had this occasionally under Ronnie Dyla, when we had early in the season when everybody was running and moving around, suddenly there was no one in the midfield. It was like jailbreak.
Yeah. So we had Greg Garza on the podcast, like a year or two ago?
Yep.
And I think he was just, really explaining how the freedom of playing under Tata allowed him just to, trust himself on when to bomb up, right? And just move up as a fullback and take your moments when they come.
Yeah, and I would say the opposite of that was Pineda, right?
Yeah.
Who was always on any player, and you had to do exactly like he was telling you. Not so good.
All right, Dave. That was an amazing breakdown. That was a marathon of you talking for the majority there, so I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. I learned a lot.
I did too. I learned a ton.
Now I'm about to bet some money on some people.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
there's some barbecue here at Wild Heaven Fox Brothers that is starting to smell good to me. But before we get to the close of this podcast, would love to talk about just a prequel to tonight's game. Kickoff, I think, is at 7:30 against San Jose Quakes.
7:30. It's now 7, so we got 30 minutes.
So not to put it on you again, but what's your prediction for tonight? Or do we want to go to Carmen first?
Carmen first.
Let's go to Carmen first.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Prediction. We're playing San Jose. I'm going to go Atlanta wins 2-1.
2-1.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to go, I think that's not a bad prediction, 2-1. I'm going to go 3-1. Dave?
A win, 3-1.
Yeah.
I still think, it's early and Tata hasn't, bedded in. I'm going to go 2-2. I don't think we get a win. I think, and keep in mind, he's playing against probably the second best coach in MLS history, right? Bruce Arena, right? That guy can really coach. Right?
Bruce Arena's with
he's
the Quakes.
He's the San Jose coach.
All right.
And you'll also see probably tonight the debut of Tino Warner, who actually is the new signing for San Jose. Do you want to talk at all about the Western teams, just a couple of the teams at the top, since we're mentioning San Jose?
No, I want to talk about tonight's game.
Okay.
Against San Jose, right? So, do you think we're going to see Gregerson in the back line?
No, I think early on he's committed to playing early on he's identified as Barakal and Mahaj are the better two.
Okay.
That could change over time. I do think that will probably see Amador. I mean, maybe the fans who are out there in the crowd, they might have even released the starting lineup already. So I would have said Amador, Mahaj, Barakal, Hernandez still stays at the right back. I think Sanchez probably would be out.
Yeah.
I think
Miranchuk
comes in with Alzate and Tomas. And then the front would be Almiron, Latelaf, and Saba is what I think.
So we do have the starting lineup, which, of course, I don't have my glasses, so I can't exactly tell you. But what we got? Hernandez. Crap. But...
I'm handing Carmen my readers.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Baez, Barakal.
So Baez instead of Amador.
Yes, Mihaj, Latelaf, Almiron. Who's this? Saba, Cooper Sanchez.
Cooper Sanchez
Jacob
retains his spot. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's just
So I was 2 off. So he kept the starting lineup.
Yeah.
He kept Sanchez, which means that I think it doesn't mean that Miranchuk is not good enough. I think he still thinks that he's not yet ready to play 90 minutes. I think he will start as soon as he's ready to play 90 minutes. And then obviously the mystery early on, if we want to have our own conspiracy theory, is what is going on with Amador. He's not listed on the injury report, but he wasn't even on the bench in the last game.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So maybe something happened.
Something's afoot.
Amador might be in the doghouse. I don't know.
Wow. All right. Well, now that you said Bruce Arena is the coach, I may change my 3-1 prediction.
They have lost Christian Espinoza, as we talked about. He left. He's their leading assist guy. They lost Joseph Martinez, who left them, but they got Timo Werner, who is a very controversial player because he's played for, he was a $100 million signing in the Premier League, but bombed.
Yeah. All right. So 2-2, 2-1.
At 2-1.
And I'm gonna change mine to 3-2 Atlanta, just to make it a little more optimistic. Because I think a tie is the boring correct prediction.
I mean, to be honest, I was leaning. I probably, if I was smarter, it'd be 1-1. I don't really see us as ready to score 3 goals, maybe 2.
But here's my worry, Dave. I was talking with some friends today about this.
Sure.
That if we lose tonight,
Yep.
we're 0-2.
Yep.
Especially if it's not a good loss, we don't score any goals, and it's not exciting in terms of what we're seeing in terms of production. Then there's a ton of pressure coming back to Atlanta's home opener on the 7th, where if we lose that one, we're 0-3 going into the MLS season. That's not a good position to be in, even with the Tata Martino. What do you think of that? What do you think of that negativity?
No,
Dave?
I don't think the team is going to panic at all until at least several games at home. Even if we lose tonight, we got to see what we do in the first game at home.
Because it's tough sledding. Like tonight's not going to be an easy.
And it's tough to bet a team that fast, you know. I mean, people forget that when we won the title in the very first game of the season, we got killed by Houston.
Molly won.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
was 4-0, I believe, the very first game
got
of our
killed.
title-winning season. And Tata made some adjustments. I think you will see some adjustments. It wouldn't surprise me, for example, if the zonal marking is already changed. Because one thing that I think makes Tata special, and we go back to the other tactics, Tata evaluates players, but the other thing is he realizes what problems are and he adjusts. So in that season that we won the title, in the very first game, they ran right up the middle as we were coming out of the back. We gave up a turnover, and then from then on in the season, as we were building out of the back, he had the defensive midfielder drop in the middle, and we never gave up a goal like that the rest of the season.
Yeah. Well, one thing's for sure, Dave, is the crowd showed up here at Wild Heaven Fox
Late
Brothers
arriving
Barbecue.
crowd.
And so I don't know how the audio is going to turn out.
Yeah,
Carmen,
no
but
idea. I can barely hear y'all,
Yeah,
and
but
y'all are
it's-
standing right next to me.
This has been awesome, and the homework you've done, Dave, has been amazing. I
Yeah,
can't wait.
thanks to everybody out there. Thank you all.
Thank you for listening.
coming. We really appreciate
Y'all.
it.
And yeah, we talked about it all, I think. So let's go get some barbecue.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.